Shall we start the class?
Yes.
So we have finished module 2. Okay, that is conformal transformation. Any doubts you want to discuss?
Yes, sir.
Actually, that one example was that I left, no?
It's the last one.
Shall I explain it?
Yes.
Okay, fine. So the last example is this. Okay, so evaluate integration over C sin raised to 6z divided by z minus pi by 6 the cube dz, where C is a circle. The condition is mod z is equal to 1. So you take this given question. This I had to integrate actually and see the denominator first. Z minus A, it is there in the standard form and only one term is there, Z minus A. So A is pi by 6. So Z is equal to A is equal to pi by 6 is there here, and f of Z means numerator, that is sin raised to 6z, or else I can write sin z raised to 6. Both are one at the same here. And with respect to given condition, whether it lies inside or outside or on the boundary of the circle, that I had to check it. So mod z is equal to 1. But what is z? Z is pi by 6. Pi by 6. So mod of pi by 6, mod of pi by 6 is equal to 1. So that is square root of pi by 6 the square is equal to 1. So that is because pi by 6, somebody is messaging back. So you can see here, this you can see pi by 6 is a real number, okay, plus I into 0, imaginary part. So if you write it in the complex number in the so it is nothing but who is talking square root of pi by 6 the square plus 0 square. That is nothing but square root of pi by 6 the square. This and this get cancelled, only pi by 6 is remained. By 6 is remained. That's what I wrote here. Pi by 6 is remained. That is equal to 1. What is the value of pi by 6? 0.52. So, and 1. This side 1 is there. So, just do the comparison. Just do the comparison. So, that is 0.52 is less than 1. So, whenever the symbol is coming less than, so it lies inside C. When it lies inside C, write the formula. The general power is n plus 1. The particular power you can see here, that is 3. Therefore, n plus 1 is equal to 3, n is equal to 2. So everywhere n is equal to 2, you substitute in the formula. 2 pi I divided by 2 factorial f. 2 f raised to n is there. N means 2. So here n means derivative. So that's what I taken this symbol, derivative symbol, double dash. Okay. So double dash at the point E. A or Z both are same, that is nothing but pi by 6. That is nothing but pi by 6. So 2 pi I divided by 2 factorial is 2. Double derivative at the point pi by 6. Answer you get it. So first derivative f dash of Z. So how to write it? It is looking like f of x raised to n. N f of x raised to n minus 1 into d by dz of f of x, because it is a complex derivative. Okay, so that is function of a function is called a composite function. It is a composite function. Sin raised to z is one function, raised to 6 is one function. Function of a function is a composite function. Okay, so 6 sin of z raised to 6 minus 1, that is 5, into d by dz of sin z, that is cos of z. Okay, so now again we want double derivative. Again we want double derivative. So here this is acting as first term, this will be acting as second term. So 6, you keep it totally out. 6 into first function, differentiation of cos z is minus sin z, plus cos of z, differentiation of sin of z raised to 5. Again composite function, 5 sin of z raised to 5 minus 1, that is 4, d by dx of sin z is cos of z. So simplify this everything. So you are getting like this. You're getting like this. So we want z is equal to pi by 6. Substitute wherever z is there, pi by 6. So minus sign as usual out. Sine of pi by 6, 1 by 2 raised to 6 plus 5 into 1 by 2 raised to 4 square root of 3 by 2 whole square. That is 6 into minus 1 upon 2 raised to 6 plus 5 into 1 by 2 raised to 4 square root of 3 divided by 2 raised to 2. 2 raised to 4, 2 raised to 2. That is 2 raised to 6. So I can write it as, I can see here square root and this get cancelled. Okay, so here you can see this get cancelled, only 5 into 3 into this 6 I have multiplied inside, this into this I had done it. So total answer, if you check it in your calculator, it is 21 by 16. F dash, f double dash at the point of 5 by 6 is 21 by 16. So I'm writing over here and I'm writing the final answer. This is all the thing. Okay, either you can include here only somewhere, no problem, or you can do it by the side, that is left to you. These all the things, don't do it in the rough work. Okay, this you should show, make a line over there, show half a part, or else you take this as equation number 1, next you write this entire thing, next you write it this. That is far better. Understood this? Any doubts with respect to this module?
No, sir.
No? Shall we go for the next module? Okay. So we will start module 1. Okay, so module 1, the name of the module is complex variable 1. So these many days we were knowing that real value function y equal to f of x. This is important. So y is equal to f of x. Okay, here we will introduce complex valued function w equal to f of z. W is equal to f of z. So basic things we will study here. So complex number is denoted by z is equal to x plus iy. So where x and y are real numbers and I is square root of -1. That is, if we square it both the side, I square is -1. So only in the second module, if I square comes in the sense, I used to tell that use it as -1. Here x is called real part of z. So when this number comes here, x is called, this x is called real part of z and y is called imaginary part of z. So that is one thing. And z bar, if you want to write a z bar, replace a minus sign with to the coefficient of I. So see here, what is the coefficient of I? If coefficient of I is plus sign, then the conjugate will be minus. If the coefficient of I is minus sign, then the conjugate will be having a plus sign. So that is vice versa case is there. If z is equal to x plus iy, how to write the conjugate? So see the coefficient of I. So with respect to which symbol it is there, so exactly replace opposite of that. So that is here plus sign is there. Here plus sign is there, you can say. So I wrote it here minus sign. So this is called complex conjugate of z. And one more thing we know that e raised to ix, e raised to ix, that is nothing but Euler's function. So that you have studied in PUC. E raised to ix is nothing but cos x plus I sin x, or e raised to I theta, that is cos of theta plus I sin theta. Okay, so this is with respect to x I had taken here, that is e raised to ix, cos of x plus I sin of x. If it is e raised to minus ix, so instead of this plus symbol, make it as a minus because minus sign is there here. So cos of x minus I sin of x. These are the two possibilities that we are getting. Okay. So next, when you add these two, okay. So that is LHS to LHS, RHS to RHS. E raised to ix plus e raised to minus ix, that is equal to cos x plus I sin x plus cos of x minus I sin x. When you open the bracket, okay, so plus I sin x minus I sin x get cancelled. So cos x plus cos x, that is 2 cos of x. So e raised to ix plus e raised to minus ix is equal to 2 cos of x. Therefore, cos of x is equal to e raised to ix plus e raised to minus ix divided by 2. So cos of x, if you want to write a cos of x, write it, the alternative formula is e raised to ix plus e raised to minus ix divided by 2. So when you subtract same, that is 1 and 2, so e raised to ix minus e raised to minus ix, that is LHS to LHS, RHS to RHS. So cos of x plus I sin x minus cos of x minus I sin x. So here this plus cos x minus cos x get cancelled. So I sin x plus I sin x, that is 2I sin x. So therefore we want sin x here. So sin x equal to this 2I shifted to this side, it comes to the denominator. So that is e raised to ix minus e raised to minus ix divided by 2I. Okay, so that is cos of x. Please do remember this. Sin of x, please do remember this. These are all the things we are using in the examples. While solving the problems, we are using. So next, similarly, so earlier we know the formula for cos x and sin x. Next, I'll go for cos of ix. So instead of x, replace ix. So e raised to ix. Instead of x, replace ix. Replace ix. Replace ix. So that is I into I square x. I into I square. Minus sign is there. Minus I square x divided by 2. So that is equal to e raised to minus x, because I square is minus, plus e raised to minus of minus 1 into x. So minus minus plus x divided by 2. So what is the formula? E raised to minus x plus e raised to x divided by 2. So cos of ix is given by the formula e raised to x plus e raised to minus x divided by 2. So that is nothing but cos hyperbolic of x that you have studied in PUC. Okay, so e raised to x plus e raised to minus x divided by 2 is cos hyperbolic of x. So now one notes, if anything like this, okay, that is cos of ix, you take it as cos hyperbolic of x. Similarly, come for sine of ix. So instead of x, replace ix. E raised to I into ix minus e raised to minus I into ix. So divided by 2i. So that is e raised to I square x minus e raised to minus I square x divided by 2i. So I square means minus 1, e raised to minus x minus e raised to minus of minus 1 into x divided by 2i. So that is how you can write it. It is as e raised to minus x minus e raised to x minus minus this minus minus plus it is divided by 2i. And one more thing you can remember, that even in the second module or in the first module, I said that I should not be there in the denominator. Always the standard form of writing complex number is x plus iy. Means what? It should be there in the numerator. It should be there in the numerator, but it should not be in the denominator. But here you can just look out, as I is there in the denominator. I don't want it in the denominator. I want it in the numerator. So because of that, I'll rationalize I. So that is rationalization of the denominator with respect to that I'll multiply and divide it by I. So, sorry, what I'm getting is that, so you can just look out I. So numerator is multiplied by I. In the denominator, I into I square. So in the new I square is nothing but this I square. This I square is nothing but minus 1. That is minus 2 I into e raised to minus x minus e raised to x. So what happens is that I into, so you can take minus sign this one. So this plus sign, 1 second. See, this is e raised to plus x is enough. This you write it first. Next, you write it next. Okay, or else that is also not for this one. So this whatever minus sign is there, why it is whatever this minus sign is there, so send it to the numerator. So minus sign, minus of minus plus sign. Okay, so divided by 2. So that is I into, so positive sign, I'll write it first. E raised to x minus e raised to minus x divided by 2. So e raised to x minus of e raised to minus x divided by 2 is sine hyperbolic of x. E raised to x plus e raised to minus x divided by 2 is cos hyperbolic of x. E raised to x minus e raised to minus x divided by 2 is sine hyperbolic of x. So please do remember these examples. Cos of ix means cos hyperbolic of x. Sine of ix means cos of ix means cos hyperbolic of x. Sine of ix means I into sine hyperbolic of x. Do remember this. And in PUC, we have studied De Moivre's theorem. What exactly De Moivre's theorem says? Cos of theta plus I sin theta is equal to cos of n theta plus I sin n theta. I can write it this. This power I can write, I can multiply to the angle. Okay, so where n is a real number, understood this? Any doubts? Okay. Next, geometrical interpretation. Geometrical interpretation of a complex number, that is z is equal to x plus iy. Geometrical interpretation of z is equal to x plus iy. Consider, see, this is x-axis, x-axis, y-axis. Consider point pxy, that there in the figure. Next, this is a point P, no? The draw perpendicular to the x-axis. This is P, means this is M, and join this OP. Join this OP. So we are getting a triangle now. We are getting the triangle. So the triangle is there here, and here what I can write is that, so this is x, this is y, and this will be the radius always. Okay, so therefore, and this will be the angle theta. Consider point pxy, draw PM perpendicular to x-axis. Here OP is nothing but r, angle POM is theta. So let us define what is sine theta and what is cos theta. We'll go for the basic definition. Sine theta is opposite upon hypotenuse, cos theta is adjacent upon hypotenuse. So sine theta is equal to opposite. What is opposite here? So this is a theta. Opposite to theta, what is there? Y is there. Y divided by hypotenuse, that is r. So adjacent. Adjacent is in the sense base. What is base here? X. And what is hypotenuse? That is r. Therefore, you can solve for x and y. So from this, I can solve for y. So y is equal to r sine theta. So x equal to r cos theta. So when you square it, x and y, so we are getting r square sine square theta, r square cos square theta. After squaring, you add it. That is, I had done it, you can see here, x square plus y square. So x square is r cos theta the square plus y square is r sine theta the square. So r square cos square theta plus r square sine square theta. So here r square is common, cos square theta plus sine square theta. So that is cos square theta plus sine square theta is 1. Therefore, x square plus y square is equal to r square, or else you can see that r is equal to x square, square root of x square plus y square. So sine theta upon cos theta, you can just check it, what will come. So y by r divided by x by r. Sine theta means y by r, cos theta means x by r. So sine upon cos is a tan. So this r get cancelled. Okay, so we are getting y by x. Tan theta is equal to y by x. Therefore, theta is tan inverse of y by x. So this is all about the Cartesian system. This is all about the Cartesian system. Cartesian system in the sense the variables involving x and y is called as Cartesian system. The variables involving r and theta are called as polar system. The variables involving r and theta are called as polar system. Here, if you take it in a polar system, the geometrical representation of the polar system, so that is everything is same. Only the point z is equal to x plus iy will be varying here. So consider e raised to I theta means cos theta plus I sin theta. So z is equal to r e raised to I theta is called polar form of z. Z is equal to x plus iy is called Cartesian form of z. Z is, see, this is and this is only the difference. This is in Cartesian system, this is in polar system. If r and theta are involved, that is in polar system. Z is equal to r e raised to I theta is called as polar form of z. So you take the modulus of z. You take the modulus of z. So what will come is that here, see, z is r e raised to I theta, right? So z is r e raised to I theta is cos theta plus I sin theta. So therefore z is equal to r cos theta plus I into r sin theta. So when you take modulus of z, that is square root of real part the square plus imaginary part the square. So after simplifying, what you are getting is that r you are getting, just r you are getting. So that is nothing but x square plus y square only. So you can see here what exactly r is. That is x square, square root of x square plus I square. That is amplitude of z or argument of z. That is nothing but we will represent it as theta. That is tan inverse of y by x. That is tan inverse of y by x. So let us collect some basic definition. Just I'll read out. Okay. So I'll tell you from where you have to prepare and from where exactly your syllabus starts. So this is all the basic things. Without this, I cannot do further. A complex valued function f of z defined in the neighborhood of upon z naught is said to have a limit L as z tends to z naught. If for every epsilon greater than 0, however small, there exists a positive real number delta such that mod of f of z minus L less than epsilon when mod of z minus z naught less than delta, or else limit f of z as z tends to z naught, z tends to z naught is equal to L. That is L is nothing but limit here. L is nothing but a limit. So what do you mean by continuity? A complex valued function f of z is said to be continuous at z is equal to z naught if f of z naught exists and limit f of z, z tends to z naught is equal to f of z naught. This definition is important for you people. So that is mod f of z minus f of z naught less than epsilon when mod z minus z naught is less than delta. Next, differentiability. This is very, very important for you people. A complex valued function f of z is said to be differentiable at z is equal to z naught if limit f of z minus f of z naught divided by z minus z naught as z tends to z naught exist, and it should be unit. Exist in the sense it should be finite and it should have a unique solution, and it is called derivative of f of z at z is equal to z naught denoted by f dash of z naught. When delta z is z minus z naught, then z tends to z naught. It implies that delta z tends to 0. Delta z tends to 0. That's what I'm writing here. Please do remember this. F dash of z naught is equal to limit f of z naught plus delta z minus f of z naught divided by delta z as delta z tends to 0. This definition, remember, based on this definition, next the process will be continued. Entire topic is continued. Okay. So next thing is that this is important. From here, your syllabus starts. From analytic function, your syllabus starts. And for that, the definition of limits, continuity, and differentiability important. So when the function is differentiable, then it is called as analytic. Simple. In roughly, I'm saying that when the function is differentiable, then the function is that function is analytic. So you can see what do you mean by analytic function. So this is very important. A complex valued function w equal to f of z is said to be analytic at a point z is equal to z naught if dw by dz is equal to f dash of z, that is nothing but limit of f of z plus delta z minus f of z divided by delta z as a delta z tends to 0 exists and is unique at z naught and in the neighborhood point of z naught. So this definition is important for you people. So analytic functions, sometimes we call it as regular function or holomorphic function. Analytic function is also called as regular function or holomorphic function. Theorem, Cauchy-Riemann equations in Cartesian form. See, two theorems will come. So one is Cauchy-Riemann equation in Cartesian form, Cauchy's Riemann equation in polar form. Cartesian form in the sense the variable x and y are involved, and polar in the sense the variable r and theta are involved. So Just these theorems are very, very important. So they are asking in the, definitely they are asking in the exams. Either if this time they are asking in the Cartesian, in the sense, next time they are asking the polar form. If next time they are asking the polar form, this time again they will ask in the Cartesian form. Any one form, definitely they will ask you. So please do prepare this theorem, both the theorems. Okay. So Cauchy's Riemann, or sometimes they call it as CR equations. C means Cauchy's, R means Riemann. Cauchy's Riemann equation in Cartesian form. Okay, so please, syllabus starts from here. Try to prepare from this, and only those formulas do remember. I have given you in detail how that sine ix is can be written, how cos ix can be written, what is sine x, what is cos x. Everything I have given in detail. So do remember only formulas, and your syllabus starts from here. So analytic function, in the sense, please remember that derivative should exist and it should be unique. So this formula should exist. Okay. So the statement, even they will not give you statement, state and prove CR equation they are telling. So in that case, you have to write this. Okay. So if they have not mentioned in Cartesian form or polar form, just which one is, you know that you write, but specifically they asked you, like, write it in Cartesian form only, write it in polar form only. So you have to write it the particular theorem only. Understood this? So don't write that whenever they're asking you Cartesian, don't write polar. Whenever they're asking polar, don't write it Cartesian. Okay. So be specific which one they are asking you. Be specific. So therefore, CR equations in Cartesian form. First, I'll write it in the Cartesian form. Statement. The necessary condition that the function w equal to f of z, that is u of xy plus iv of xy, or else simply I can write u plus iv. So u of xy plus I into v of xy means u is function of xy, v is function of xy. That is the meaning. Okay. So as it is in Cartesian form, they are functions of xy only. Okay. So maybe analytic at the point z is equal to x plus iy is that there exist four continuous first order partial derivatives, that is ux, uy, vx, vy. So we can write dou u by dou x, dou u by dou y, dou v by dou x, dou v by dou y. So how it is with respect to u? With respect to u, two derivatives, that is dou u by dou x, dou u by dou y. Okay. So next, with respect to v, so two derivatives, one is with respect to x, one is with respect to y. Dou v by dou x, dou v by dou y. So all the four first order partial, only first order partial derivatives. Okay. So that is ux, uy, vx, vi, and satisfying the equation. So the equations are dou u by dou x equal to dou v by dou y, dou u by dou y is equal to minus dou v by dou x, or else ux equal to vy, comma uy is equal to minus vx, ux equal to vy and uy equal to minus vx. This we known as CR equation. These CR equations, I used it in the earlier module. So in the last examples. So in the second module, I used it. This is what the equation is. Okay. So how to write the proof is very, very important. How to write the proof is very, very important. So next thing is that I cannot complete the proof. I have to take a next class only. But then to another 2 minutes, I'll explain it. Given f of z is analytic at z is equal to x plus iy. Okay. Analytic. The word analytic is important. In the statement, they said that the function is analytic at the point z is equal to x plus iy. When it is analytic, by the definition of analytic, what I can write? Derivative should exist. That is f dash of z is equal to limit f of z plus delta z minus f of z divided by delta z as the delta z tends to 0 exist and unique. Exist and unique. I know that f of from here, f of z, So what is our f of z? U of xy plus I into v of xy. So when I give increment for, see, f of z plus delta z is there. When I give an increment, small increment to delta z, for z I'm giving increment as delta z. Similarly for x I'll give increment as a delta x and increment as a delta y. So you can see f of z plus f of z is equal to u of xy plus iv xy. So I'll give an increment delta z. Similarly for x I'll give increment as delta x. For y I'll give a increment as delta y. So f of z plus delta z. For x also you give x plus delta x. For y also you give y plus delta y. For x you give x plus delta x. For y you give y plus delta y. So similarly like this. Okay. So we want difference of these two, means difference of this minus difference of this. So difference of this minus difference of this. When you simplify, you are going to get these things. I'll explain it in the next class. So afternoon I have a class. Shall I engage in the afternoon? 3:20. Hello?
Yes, sir.
So only Sanjana is saying yes, and the rest of the people are not attending only. So all of you, I'm asking, shall I engage in the afternoon 3:20 class? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Afternoon 3:20, around 3 o'clock, I'll send a link, okay? Be ready. Now we will wind up because time is not there. Another 3 minutes, I cannot complete the entire proof. So I'll complete it, okay? Thank you.